Good day, collectors and viewers. Social Distance Warrior is back with video number 13. Today we're going to look at Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi from episode 4, A New Hope. Now I specify Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi because he was known as Ben Kenobi in episode 4. In the prequels he was Obi-Wan Kenobi, so this is the easy way to distinguish which version of Ben Kenobi we're talking about here. Obi-Wan Kenobi. So Obi-Wan Kenobi's figure made his first debut in 1978. That'll be this guy over here. Just like Luke and Darth Vader, he does have that telescoping lightsaber. So he does have that feature where you can pull the lightsaber in and out with the little slot here on the back and the little handle. The tip is fragile. It's easy to break off. But just like the Obi-Wan and the Luke, it also initially came out with a double telescoping lightsaber where you could pull that tip down even further. And then they made a running change and made them all this way. Now, he was available in episode 4, so Star Wars, Empire, and Return of the Jedi. And then that was the figure that got produced through that original line. Ben Kenobi, another favorite figure of mine. I used to always stick him on the back of the Death Star playset and have him turn the tractor beam off. That's what he was known for. Detail-wise, the figure is very, very good. It holds up today. He did come in 2 different color heads. There was a white head, and there was a gray head as well. So probably depending on the factory that made him. The currently one I'm holding here is the white head. So that's Ben Kenobi with his cape. Now, we don't see him again until the Power of the Force 2 line comes back in 1995. That'll be this Ben Kenobi here. And right away you'll notice that just like the Luke and the Darth Vader, Ben Kenobi comes with a really huge lightsaber. We take the lightsaber again, we position it behind him there, and it's the same height as him. It's a very, very tall lightsaber. They started, with very, very large, exaggerated accessories, and then that shrunk down as the line progressed. They went back to a normal size, but initially came with a long one. He does have his robe on. You can see if I pull that robe off, it does come off, and he's got his, regular, Jedi garb underneath there. But it did come with this robe on here. And, it's got the illusion that he's got all the texture here, that he's got the cloak that covers his head. But that was the original release. It's actually a nice figure. He has a little bit of difficulty standing, so I have him on a stand just because of the way his his plastic goods are positioned. So that's Ben in 95. We'll see him again in 1997 as part of a Power of the Force 2 cinema scene that came with Ponda Baba and Dr. Evazan. Now, I wasn't too keen or excited about this set. I really wanted the Dr. Evazan, but I didn't need another Ben Kenobi, particularly one that doesn't look as good as that first one here that we got in 95. So this one, more of an action pose. He's kind of stuck in this pose here. I don't know whether he's supposed to be holding a bottle of alcohol or something in this hand, but he does have that position. I guess you can alternate which hand you want the lightsaber in. Same thing, he's got those goods on where you can pull them off and you can see what he's got on underneath there, and he's in an action pose. His arm's a little bit exaggerated here. It's got more of a muscular look to it, but that's the Ben Kenobi that we got in 97 as part of that cinema scene. The next time we see Ben Kenobi was in 1999 as part of the flashback line. So just before episode 1 came out, they had a flashback line where each figure came with a little flashback plastic, picture thing where you could pull the handle down and you can see something that the figure relates to. In the prequels, in this case, would be a young Obi-Wan Kenobi. So that'll be this Obi-Wan over here. Now, this one's a lot better. I like him a lot with the hood up. You can see with the hood up, you can do that pose where he's fighting Darth Vader in the Death Star. He does have swivel arms at the elbows over here and his wrists as well. So you can position him holding that lightsaber. There's not much you can do. You can, change what position his hand is in, but he's mainly got that ability to hold it with 2 hands. His leg is bent forward. He's got the goods under there again, but this time we can't take them off. But he's got the hood up here for the first time, which is really, really cool. So that was that flashback 1999 Ben Kenobi. After that, we'd get a Ben Kenobi in the Power of the Jedi line. That was in 2000. That'll be this guy over here. And this time they made him without his cloak on, without his Jedi robes on. And he does, again, now Hasbro started moving to accessories where they can attach them to the figures. In this case, you can attach his lightsaber hilt to his belt there, give it a nice realistic look. And this is the one that I carry in my Millennium Falcon with Luke when he's, training with that training probe. I have him standing in the back there watching over Luke, and he does have articulation up and down on the arms there, and swivel as well. He can't turn his wrists on this guy here, but you can do a little bit with it, which is nice. And he's kind of, his legs are positioned there. There's no slits on the robe to be able to move him around, but that's the Ben Kenobi. And again, as we moved along, the face sculpt got more and more realistic, which was really, really nice in respect to the 3/4 inch figures. So they've moved along. So the next time we see Ben Kenobi would be in 2002, also part of the Power of the Jedi line. This time in 25th anniversary of Star Wars A New Hope. Hasbro made 25th anniversary 2-packs. This case, Ben Kenobi came with Darth Vader. I've removed Darth Vader just to have Ben. They came on a base. Ben's in a action pose. All the figures were in action poses. He's got the, his Jedi robes on with it leaning back off of his head, which is really cool, reminiscent of how he was when he fought Darth Vader in the movie. You could pull the robes off here, but this part of the robes this is stuck and, builds right onto the arms, so it would look kind of silly without having that top piece on. And again, he's positioned in an action pose, so not much to do with him there except display him. But again, it's still a New Hope Ben Kenobi. That's what he looks like from the back, just so you can see, and from the side. So that's the Ben Kenobi we got in 02, Power of the Jedi. Okay, let's put him back over here. Next time we see Ben Kenobi is in Star Wars, in Hasbro's Vintage Original Trilogy Collection. So 2004, they made the ultra premium figures with super articulation. Ben Kenobi was one of those guys. He comes on his original card back. They came in this little blister, which is really cool. I have mine in there. I don't have one loose. I kept this one in package because I really like that packaging. So Ben's got cloth goods, a brand new sculpt, super articulated, cloth bottom part to his robe, so you can position him. You can have him sitting in the land speeder with Luke if you had to. You can have him fighting Darth Vader. You can have him on your Death Star. Whatever you want to do with him, you can have the ability to do so. His robe's a little bit large, but nonetheless, they're moving in the right direction here in regards to detail on these figures, articulation, and then justifying why they would move to a higher price point as well. So he's got his lightsaber in there, and all of a sudden the lightsaber started coming with more detail, especially on the handle. There wasn't just a generic silver. It was definitely more reminiscent of his. And then on the picture here, there he's got that. You can see where the illustration used to have the yellow lightsaber, and it just came out yellow, but it's actually blue, his lightsaber. So let's just turn this around on the back so you can see what the back looked like. There he is on his original card. And then, of course, here's the other guys that were available in the line with Ben. Han, Leia, Luke. And then, of course, they had an Empire wave and a Jedi wave that came afterwards. So that's the Ben we got in 2004. And again, that started setting the standard for what they could do, Hasbro, with their action figures as they move forward. Next time we see Ben would be in 2008. And in 2008, we got Legacy Collection, Ben Kenobi. That'll be this guy over here. So this one to date is my favorite Ben Kenobi. I think it's a perfect sculpt, perfect likeness. Even the robe they nailed. They didn't use that furry material that they had on the Vintage Original Trilogy Collection. They used a brand new one, more to scale with him. The cloth goods underneath there. He's got his hand positioned where he's doing the Jedi mind trick. You don't need to see his identification. You can reenact that whole scene. I also like to, let me just take this lightsaber out. I'd like to show you what it looks like underneath those robes. So let's just pull the robes off here momentarily so I can show you what Ben looks like underneath. Okay. So that's Ben Kenobi underneath the robes there. So you can see he's got, articulation, swivel joints there at the shoulders. Same thing at the elbows. And then, you can move his wrist back and forth. His hands there underneath the cloth goods. He's got the articulation on the knees. So you can bend his knees. You can bend his ankles as well. So Ben's got full posability. He's a perfect sculpt. Even the head sculpt is really, really good. It's great. It's on a ball joint, but done very, very well. Looks just like Alec Guinness did in the movie. All they have to do with this guy here, I'm sure they can do their real scan technology, but all they have to do is, release him on a vintage card, and I think everybody will be happy because that is the perfect likeness of Ben Kenobi. And one thing that was really, really cool with some of these figures, again, that they were doing is they were releasing them with accessories that you didn't have. And again, justifying if you had Ben Kenobi already, especially Vintage Original Trilogy Collection, you're like, why am I going to buy another one? Well, what if I told you and gave you his table from Ben Kenobi's hut, and it's got a hologram of Princess Leia on it. You can remove that as well. But this came with him in the packaging, and this assembles, and you just clip it back on the top and the bottom, and you have a nice little diorama piece for your Ben Kenobi figure, which is really, really cool. So after 2008, we don't see another Ben Kenobi. He gets re-released numerous times in battle packs, this sort of thing, but we don't see him again until 2017 in the Last Jedi wave. So in the Last Jedi wave, they kind of moved back to 5 points of articulation on a lot of the figures. They made a Ben Kenobi, but obviously their sculpting's a lot better, especially on the head sculpts. They got a lot better. So this one's probably got a perfect head sculpt of Alec Guinness. If you look at it here and I pull this back, you can see like it's perfect. His ears, his face, his eyes, his expression. It's perfect. It's the reason why I had to get the figure, but you can see articulation wise, like that robe is sculpted onto the legs. So there's not really much you can do with Ben here. I mean, you can have him sitting, but this is in the way. There's not much you can do there unless you pull the jacket off, but then it doesn't match his arms. So his arms, they do up and down. There's no swivel on there. There's nothing on the wrists. Everything is fixated. He does come with a lightsaber, but it looks like he's trying to hold his belt more than anything. But it's a nice figure if you're doing a diorama setup or whatnot, and you have Ben standing on the side, or standing with your figures. It's good that way. He's on a ball joint. I never actually tried taking the head off and seeing whether it can fit on the Legacy Collection one. If it could, I guess we'd have a perfect figure, but the head does look a little bit larger. So that's, I guess, something that you could try. But that's what we got in 2017 with the Last Jedi wave. So that's actually the last 3¾ inch action figure that we got. We did get in 2017 as well the 40th anniversary of Star Wars. They did make those diecast figures, titanium ones with the scene specific backdrops. Ben was one of those. That's him over here. So one thing that was cool about this figure, now the goods are plastic. Underneath, this is diecast. This part's metal. He does come with a regular lightsaber, and he comes with this action swirl lightsaber. So they started experimenting with this effect, which is pretty cool on there. I mean, depending on how you position it, looks like a flag there, but if I turn it sideways a little bit, it looks like he's pulling, his lightsaber across. So that's kind of cool. Head, again, is on a ball joint here. Head sculpt's not too bad, like Princess Leia on this titanium line. Their faces were good, but the Luke and the Han the paint jobs were really bad on the eyes. So it really took away from those figures. But he did come with a backdrop as well. And that'll be the Cantina bar. So that was a cool backdrop. And again, these connect with the other ones. So you connect them together and you can form a scene and display them. A little pegs on the bottom. It came with a little foot pegs, and you can decide where you want to position them. And if you didn't want to have the Cantina specific backdrop, you could always turn it around. And then you have this foil picture of Ben here. Profile of him. And then you can see there's the fight with Darth Vader up here. And this one's a little bit harder to make out over here. But again, profile picture, the Ben Kenobi there, which is really cool. So this wouldn't be a full Ben Kenobi review if I didn't have Ben Kenobi in his spirit form as well. So I have that to show you as well. So initially, spirit form, Power of the Force 2 in 1997, Kenner/Hasbro had a mail away for a Frito-Lay Ben Kenobi. So you mail away your proofs of purchase and get this guy over here. So it's a sculpted. There's no articulation on him, but he's got a translucent plastic. He's actually really cool. I like this figure a lot. And you have your Spirit of Obi-Wan Kenobi there, where you can talk to Luke Skywalker. And again, it's Ben Kenobi. He's in his Ben Kenobi garb, his outfit. It's basically kind of the sculpt of this guy here, but they've put new arms on. He's pointing with one hand, and the other one's holding his waist. But a stationary figure, but really cool. And a nice little addition. I miss mail away stuff like this. I think it kind of makes it exciting and gives you a reason to collect and cut stuff out and mail it away and anticipate something coming. That's always been really cool in that regard. So let's put him over here on the side. Next hologram we'd get would be in 1999, part of the cinema scene for Jedi Spirits. So he came with Spirit of Anakin and Yoda, and we got another Ben Kenobi. And again, it's a translucent one. This one looks a little more frosty than the previous one. And like one arm is the same. Here, it looks very, very similar to that one. And then this one has been, instead of pointing, he's got his arms over his belt. A nice sculpt as well. And if we put them side by side, we can kind of look at the head. The head is different as well. So they did go semi-new with these figures. New head, new arms, this sort of thing. And that's a really cool one. It's got more of a frosty look. So he's still translucent, but he's a little more frosty looking. So a little more, you know, glowy, sparkly, as Jar Jar would say. So that's the second one we got in 99. And then we get him one more time in 2004, part of the original trilogy collection. He came with a Dagobah base. So we got this Ben here. So now, you know, on first appearance compared to the other ones, you're like, well, wait, that looks just like a Ben Kenobi figure. Are you sure that's a spirit? Yeah, it's a spirit. If you look at him closely, you can see he's still got translucent, but they experimented a little bit more, put more of his color in there. So there was, you know, parts of the movie where it looked a little bit more like, less like this, more like this. So there is some articulation there on the arms. You know, we can move them at the elbows. You can move it up and down. Head moves side to side, which is nice. Not much to do on the legs there. You know, they're stationed. He stands really well, but he comes with a base, which is really cool. A Dagobah base, and we can put him on that base, and, you know, right away we know we're talking about Dagobah, and that's the Ben Kenobi from there. So that's all the Ben Kenobis that we have in the 3 3/4 inch line. Let's just put them over here with these guys. I also wanted to show you the Black Series Ben Kenobi. So Ben Kenobi Black Series had a couple releases. He initially came in San Diego Comic-Con version. Now, I didn't get a chance to go to Comic-Con, but they did come over to Toronto for Fan Expo. So I have that Ben, and that one's a really cool one because it comes with that base that I have in 3 3/4 inch form, in 6 inch form. And believe it or not, I didn't know until months later that it had an electronic feature on there. So if you push down the little vase here on the side, you get Princess Leia. She does the full phrase. Now, if I press it again, she'll do the full phrase about how years ago he helped her father in the Clone Wars, and she's asking for his help. So that's really, really cool. Let's push that down just so you can hear that as well.
General Kenobi, years ago you served my father in the Clone Wars. Now he begs you to help him in his struggle against the Empire. I regret that I am unable to present my father's request to you in person, but my ship has fallen under attack, and I'm afraid my mission to bring you to Alderaan has failed. I have placed information vital to the survival of the rebellion into the memory systems of this R2 unit. My father will know how to retrieve it. You must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
So really cool stuff. And if you want to keep them in the package, they actually designed a way on the side where you can remove the battery, change it, put it back in without taking everything out of the package. Now, he comes with his own lightsaber, and he comes with Anakin's lightsaber as well to give to Luke Skywalker, which is really cool. He was also released in a single pack here. I have him here. Same thing. He's got his goods on, you know, perfect, you know, sculpt there. Now, this is just before they went to the scan technology on the new figures where they get a perfect likeness. So he's done just before that, along with the farm boy Luke. Still looks really cool. Be nice to have him in that sculpt as well. But again, perfect figure. I'm not too keen on the plastic part of the robes here because you can't really sit them down. That's why I think this Ben Kenobi here is probably the perfect version because you can do anything you want with this guy here. So that's it for the Ben Kenobis. That's all of them. Hope you guys like and enjoyed the review. Please like and subscribe. I look forward to making more videos. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.